Nancy.
Hi. So can I just compliment on the entire 4 episodes?
Good stuff.
Yes.
And thank you for watching all 4.
Yeah.
Of course. Where's the 5th? I was like, where's the 5th episode? But one of my highlights was how you implemented the scene with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, and that scene parallel to what was going on in the relationship, about referencing Dyan as a child. Can you talk about that idea on including that scene?
Well, what happened was I didn't approach this as a piece of as a biopic or a piece of hagiography. It was a man's life, and what I thought was fascinating was how what had happened to him as a child had shaped the man. But in any drama, there are moments in where someone's talking to friends or talking to people he trusts and discussing issues that he had. And it so happened that because the subject of the piece was Cary Grant, the kinds of people he was discussing his life with were Audrey Hepburn and Grace Kelly and Alfred Hitchcock and Doris Day. And it wasn't something that we forced. It was something that was there. He was friendly with these people, and so he had a wonderful platonic relationship with Grace Kelly, and Jennifer, as a girl, would spend time with the Rainiers. No, not the Rainiers. Prince Rainier and Grace. I've forgotten this. There is anyway with Grace and Rainier. Grimaldi. Thank you. And these were his friends. They happened to be famous too.
And for you, Jennifer, what was it like? I understand, correct me if I'm mistaken, that you dived in very deep and you went to your father's childhood, neighborhood, home. Discuss a little bit about that experience.
Absolutely. Prior to going to Liverpool, where we were shooting, I decided to spend a few days in Bristol, where Dad was born and spent his boyhood. And I think it may have been my favorite part of this entire adventure, which has been many years in the making. I did my own kind of reconnaissance mission, and I set out from my hotel, and on foot, Jeff's son, George, did a lot of research for me on Dad's boyhood homes and the schools he attended. So, I walked into the neighborhoods where he lived and saw his homes, place where he lived, place where he was born, and then where he lived with his grandmother. And I saw the very Victorian schools that he attended. And I tried to imagine what it was like for Dad as a boy with, no money and often hungry and probably cold, with such a different life than what he created. And I felt very, very connected to him. And then Jeff said, please wait for me to visit his first home. And so we went together, which was amazing. It was very emotional. Jeff kindly knocked on the door for me, and the current owner opened up and allowed us in and allowed us into what would have been Dad's boyhood room, which the structure was still the same and the view was still the same, and the neighborhood, the structure of the homes was the same. So I felt as though I was getting a glimpse of the past. Yeah.
That means the scene where we have him staring out, see his brother that had passed away go away. That would have been exactly the same memento.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, we were actually looking out the back, not the front. That in that scene, he's looking out the front. But anyway, yes, much the same.
Wow, amazing. And so for you, Jennifer, what was it like to see the story unfold and the scenes where you finally, you're little, you see that interactive of Jason playing your father and then this other child playing you, and that kind of, what was that feeling of taking you back, envisioning?
The whole thing was quite emotional. But that, it's a bit bizarre, really, to see oneself and one's own life or parts of one's own life on screen, and yet so sweet and so tender. Yeah. And they had lovely people play me, so I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you talk a little bit about the old film scenes that were incorporated in
the director of the miniseries, a guy called Paul Andrew Williams, who I've worked with a lot, brilliantly took apart all the different phases in Cary's life that we depict, as a young boy in Bristol, as a young man in New York, and Los Angeles, and then in the 60s when Cary meets Dyan, and then, you know, as an older man doing his an evening with one-man shows. And he worked very hard to create different moods and looks for each of those different eras. Sometimes we shot on 16mm, sometimes on Super 8, which is a very old way of shooting scenes, and gives a very grainy look, and it immediately dates it in your mind. Some was black and white. We incorporated some archive footage from the early days of New York, which is when Archie would have gone there, and so it was a really wide palette of different feels and looks that all went to create the whole.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I already expressed how excited I was to watch the series before, all in one set down. People are gonna.
Yeah.
Best way to watch. Thank you.
Great.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.